The café sat on the corner of a quiet street, warm light spilling through its wide glass windows onto the cold pavement outside. Inside, the hum of low conversations mixed with the soft clink of cups and saucers. It was the kind of place people came to feel unseen, to sit with their thoughts and a cup of coffee, believing the world would leave them alone for a while. At a table near the window sat Adrian Hale, a man whose face appeared regularly on business magazines and financial news channels. A self-made millionaire CEO before 40, he was known for ruthless efficiency, sharp decisions, and an almost frightening control over his emotions. But today, that control was slipping. In his arms, wrapped in an expensive cream-colored blanket, was his 6-month-old daughter, Lily. Her tiny face was red, her fists clenched, her cries sharp and relentless. She had been crying for nearly 20 minutes now, loud, desperate cries that cut through the café's calm like glass. Adrian rocked her gently, murmuring soothing words, bouncing slightly in his chair. He had tried everything he knew. He checked her diaper discreetly. He offered her bottle, warmed perfectly, prepared by his assistant before he left the office. He whispered, hummed, even attempted a clumsy lullaby he vaguely remembered from his own childhood. Nothing worked, heads were turning. Some customers frowned. A woman at a nearby table sighed loudly. A young couple exchanged annoyed looks. Adrian felt heat creep up his neck, an unfamiliar sensation of embarrassment and helplessness. In boardrooms, he commanded respect with a single glance. Here, he was just a tired man with a crying baby. He hadn't planned to bring Lily out today. His nanny had called in sick at the last minute. Important meetings had been cancelled, leaving him with a rare free hour before heading home. He had decided to stop at the café, thinking fresh air and a change of scenery might calm Lily. Instead, it seemed to have made everything worse. Across the café, behind the counter, stood Amina, a young waitress in a faded uniform. Her hair was neatly tied back, and faint dark circles rested beneath her eyes. She had been on her feet since early morning, working a double shift to make up for a coworker who hadn't shown up. Tips had been thin today. Her rent was overdue. Her mother's medicine needed refilling. As she wiped down the counter, she noticed the man by the window. Not because she recognized him, she didn't, but because of the baby's cries. Amina's heart tightened. She had heard that cry before. Many times. She watched as the man's jaw clenched, as he rocked and whispered, his movements growing more frantic. She saw the way other customers' irritation slowly isolated him, how his shoulders hunched as if he were shrinking into himself. Without thinking too much about it, Amina stepped out from behind the counter. Her manager glanced at her, eyebrows raised, but she offered a small apologetic smile and kept walking. Adrian looked up as she approached, his expression guarded, almost defensive. He was used to people approaching him with complaints, demands, expectations. "I'm so sorry to bother you," Amina said softly. Her voice was gentle, steady. "But, may I try something?" He blinked, confused. "Try what?" "The baby," she said, nodding toward Lily, who was now crying so hard she had hiccups between sobs. "Sometimes they just need something different." Adrian hesitated. Every instinct screamed no. He didn't know this woman. She was a stranger. But exhaustion had a way of loosening even the tightest grip on control. "I've tried everything," he said quietly, almost ashamed. Amina smiled, not triumphantly, but with understanding. "May I hold her? Just for a moment. If it doesn't work, I'll give her right back." The café seemed to pause, as if holding its breath. After a long second, Adrian nodded. Amina gently slid into the chair beside him. Her hands moved with practiced ease as she took Lily, cradling her against her chest. She didn't bounce or rock immediately. Instead, she stood up slowly, holding Lily upright, cheek against her shoulder. Then she began to hum. It wasn't a song Adrian recognized. The melody was simple, almost ancient, rising and falling like a slow tide. A song Amina's mother had sung to her as a child, and her grandmother before that. She swayed slightly, her body relaxed, her breathing deep and calm. Within seconds, Lily's cries softened. The sharp sobs turned into whimpers. Then, slowly, astonishingly, they stopped. Lily's tiny fingers loosened their grip on the blanket, her body melting into Amina's warmth. The café was silent. Adrian stared, stunned. His chest tightened, not with stress this time, but with something dangerously close to emotion. Lily's eyes fluttered closed, her breathing evening out, her head resting peacefully on Amina's shoulder. A few customers smiled. The annoyed woman from earlier looked away, embarrassed. Someone quietly clapped once, then stopped, realizing how inappropriate it felt. Amina continued to hum for another minute, just to be sure. Then she carefully sat down and gently handed Lily back. "There you go," she whispered. She just needed to feel someone calm. Adrian took his daughter, holding her as if she were made of glass. Lily slept soundly, her face relaxed, as if nothing had ever been wrong. He cleared his throat. "I don't know how to thank you." Amina shook her head quickly. "No need. Really." She stood up, ready to return to work. "Wait," Adrian said. He reached into his wallet and pulled out several large bills, far more than the price of any meal in the café. "Please. Take this." Amina's eyes widened. She shook her head again, more firmly this time. "I can't." "Why not?" he asked, genuinely confused. "You helped me. You helped my daughter." She smiled softly. "Because I didn't do it for money." For a moment, Adrian didn't know what to say. People always did things for him because of money. Because of opportunity. Because of his name. This was new. "What's your name?" he asked. "Amina." "I'm Adrian." She nodded politely, not reacting to his name at all. He watched her walk back behind the counter, returning to wiping tables and taking orders as if nothing extraordinary had just happened. But for Adrian, everything felt different. He finished his coffee slowly, staring at Lily's peaceful face, his mind racing. He had built companies from nothing, made deals worth millions, but he had never felt so profoundly humbled by such a small, simple act. Before leaving, he walked up to the counter. "Amina," he said quietly. "If you ever need anything." She smiled kindly, cutting him off. "I'm okay. Thank you." He nodded, understanding that she meant more than just politeness. Weeks passed, but Adrian couldn't forget her. He found himself thinking about that moment often, especially during long nights when Lily cried again and again, and he struggled to calm her. He remembered the humming, the stillness, the way Amina had been fully present. One afternoon, he returned to the café. Amina was there, moving a bit more slowly this time. He noticed the slight limp she tried to hide. They talked, just a little. About Lily. About the café. About life, in careful, respectful fragments. Over time, Adrian learned more. Amina worked 2 jobs. She sent money home to her family. She dreamed of becoming a nurse but couldn't afford the tuition. She never complained. Not once, without fanfare, Adrian began to help, but quietly, invisibly. A scholarship appeared for Amina under a foundation name she didn't recognize. Her mother's medical bills were suddenly marked, paid in full. When the cafe owner mentioned a long overdue renovation, a generous anonymous donation arrived. When Amina eventually realized who had been behind it, she confronted Adrian, tears in her eyes. "You didn't have to do all this," she said. "I know," he replied gently. "I wanted to." She smiled, the the same calm, sincere smile from that first day. Then promise me something. Anything. Be kind. Even when it's inconvenient. He nodded, his throat tight. Years later, Adrian would tell Lily the story of the day a stranger's kindness changed him. He would tell her how real wealth wasn't measured in numbers or titles, but in moments when you choose compassion over comfort. And Lily would grow up humming a song she never remembered learning, a melody passed down through quiet acts of love. In a small café where a poor waitress once did the unthinkable, she gave kindness freely, and in doing so, transformed a life.